Hi, everybody. This is stage 28. We are talking about the ablative case. You have known the ablative case for a very, very long time. Okay. So, in terms of how a word looks, the morphology of it, exactly the same thing. In the first declension, like you have a word puella, right? And remember that the ablative is that long single vowel there, puella, or in the plural, puellis. Okay. So, puella with the macron, puellis. In the second declension, Miko, amikis. In the third declension, rege with the E, and then regibus with the IBUS. Okay, nothing new. We've seen that forever and ever and ever. In fact, I'm going to make that nice and big so we can see that really clearly. Okay, so first declension, second declension, third declension. Nothing new there. Now, since, gosh, stage 13, maybe 14, something like that, we have known that the ablative is accompanied or is the object of certain prepositions in Latin, right? Ob, which again we can shorten to a, de, ex, which we can shorten to pro, cum, in, sine, and sub. Ob, de, ex, pro, cum, in, sine, sub. They take the ablative case, right? If you want to walk away from the gate, you walk ob porta or a porta. If you're going to want to get down from the tree, de arbore. If you want to go out of the city, ex urbe. Okay, so all of these prepositions take the ablative case. Ob de ex pro cum in sine sub. That'll never change. That's always the case. All right. What stage 28 is telling you is actually the more, well, maybe not the more common use, but definitely the more prevalent one that might be problematic for Latin learners, which is if you take um, if you take a word and put it in the ablative case, and now these are all people, so this might not be, those are good examples. But if you take something like a sword, right? So here's gladius, and we put that in the ablative, and I say that Quintus Necatus, now he wasn't, right? We know that. But if I say Quintus Necatus est, he was killed, I say gladio, that word, that O, that's in the ablative case. The hugely predominant use of the ablative is by or with a sword. Okay, this is called an ablative of means. And so if you see a word that's in the ablative and there's no preposition with it, it's telling you by or with what something happened. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. Here is about the language, and that's what all of this is saying. So look at all of these examples here. So we've got a soldier, a miles, and he's impeditus, right? So he's hindered, impeded, vulnere, by his wound. Well, at last he gave up, he gave in. We got a Eunice, he's armed gladio, like my example, with a sword, and he hurried to the camp. Or we've got some slaves and they are winkty, bound. Now notice we could say like with chains or by chains, but here it actually just sounds better to say in chains, and that's okay too. So by, with, maybe in, okay? And laborabant, they were working on the farm. So here we get a whole bunch of other examples here. Atonitus, we know that means astonished. And so audakia, notice the words in the ablative, there's no preposition there. So by the audacity of Bulimicus, right? By Bulimicus's audacity. Beaten with clubs, that's, boy, what a terrible sentence, but having been beaten with clubs or by clubs. Defensi, defended with a wall. Here, adorned, decorated with jewelry, gems. Delighted by the skill of the slave girl. So in every one of these instances, audacia, fustibus, moro, gemis, arte. So all of these words are in the ablative case, but there's no preposition with it. And this is how Latin tells you by or with what something happened. It's called an ablative of means. Sometimes you'll see it referred to as an ablative of instrument. That kind of makes sense, right? So, you know, the clubs are the instrument with which the merchant was beaten, to go back to that really terrible sentence. But we call it the ablative of means. And that's it, guys. That's it. So the thing we have to get used to is just seeing this word in the ablative case and remembering to say by or with in front of that sword or wound or chains.